Hey folks, we're going to continue working on martial powers today. The new system that we're developing for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that I'll be publishing next year on the DMsGuild. Give me a hot second here. Let me check my signal, go through my official intro spiel, and then we'll get to work here for a while, I guess. However long it takes, right? Mic check, 1, 2, 3, I guess. However long. Yep, there we go. Very, very good. All right, so let's see. Clickety-click. Clickety-clack, dice math, clickety-clack. All right, cool. So going through my intro spiel here. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here for the past 5 years. There are a slew of links in the description down below with book covers like you can see here on screen that leads to different books that I've already created. They all have extensive free previews, so if you click on any of the books, you look underneath the book cover on the product page. On desktop, there'll be a line item underneath it that says quick preview and full preview, so click on the full preview button. If you are on a mobile device, you're going to see an eye icon that you can then click on. It'll be on the right-hand side of the page. You can click on that. To both cases, those previews open up a PDF document that you can read through. If you're an art enthusiast, you're normally here to see me pushing pixels. It's about 150 different illustrations in just the books I have linked down below, including these book covers. And if you are here for 5e game design, then check out the books. They're intended for use from level 1 to 20. I run a 20-level campaign roughly every 200 to 250 hours. So I have an opportunity to playtest this stuff at all tiers of play with various classes over and over again. So, yeah, if you think this stuff is cool, consider making a purchase to encourage additional shenanigans like that in the future. Otherwise, I've just posted that I'm live on Twitter. So if you're still part of the Twitter X platform, you can follow me at Phil Kearney to get notifications of when I go live, just like this. Best way to support the channel, of course, like, subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm live real time here on YouTube. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and we have yet more subscribers again today. So I really appreciate everyone's interest in the work that we're doing, and I hope that you're having fun here with us. So we're going to today look at the samurai. We're going to build the samurai out into the martial powers system. We're currently at episode, where are we at? Episode 84. Oh yeah, get this stuff out of the way here. You don't need that anymore. We're at episode 84 right now, and that's what I wanted to point out. That if you go down here to the more listing, and then you click on the player content and early looks here at Patreon, you don't have to be a member of my Patreon to access this stuff, but you do have to be a $1 subscriber to have rights to choose what day of the week we're going to do playtesting for the martial powers and have first dibs on being present at the table if you are able to do so. But if you scroll down here to the playtest content for martial powers, if you click on the YouTube stream, you'll see us right here, right now. Hello. Otherwise, you can click on this Martial Powers button. That'll take you to our Google Doc. It's a read-only document for you. But as you can see, it's the same document over here and here that we just opened. So if you want to read along with us today, you certainly can. This is a 74-page document that has content ready to go from level 1 to 20 for the barbarian, the artificer, barbarian, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, and warlock. So we've got a wide array of classes that make a broad use of these mechanics in general. We've spent 80 some odd episodes walking over the different mechanics. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to extract this. So let's go to our power list. It shows you the half casting progression that all of these classes get access to. The amount of powers that they have access to through level 1 to 20. If you are a half-casting sort, paladin, ranger, or artificer using the hybrid points of a long rest, gives you 40 points by the 20th level. And if you are a martial caster or a martial character, you'll have access to the martial points that gives you up to 20 on a short rest per long rest. Hey, Aaron, how you doing? Well, yeah, you did say you'd pop in. You're a man of your word. Welcome to it. Happy to have you. So let's see. We're going to. So yeah, that's that. We're going to drop down here. If you check out the playtest document along with us, you'll see all the barbarians are built out. A fighter has access to only 1 point per short rest at first level. It eventually builds into 20. However, there are multiple means of cheating into additional mana for the fighter. Each class is different, but for the fighter specifically, when you use Second Wind, you gain a number of mana back equal to the maximum rank of power that you gain as a fighter. So like say a 5th level fighter would have access to 2 ranks of power. So whenever you take the Second Wind, you get 2 points of mana back, for instance. There's also the Empowered Strikes, which is when you make an attack, you can forgo any extra attacks during your round to instead gain temporary mana that you can spend immediately on the attack on any of the strikes that you know. Strikes are very similar to Divine Smite in nature, depending on what your level is. Depends on the die roll per mana. Like at first level, if you use a strike power, then it's only an extra d6 damage that you're dealing, but it ramps up over time. At 17th level, you're dealing d10, so you can put up to 5 mana to do an extra 5d10 worth of damage. Paladins get an extra die for free because paladins are extra special when they are smiting with melee attacks. And martial artists get to use their martial art die instead of the power die if they wish, as do the Battlemaster fighters also get to use their superiority die instead of the power die, which is upgrades to a D8, D10, D12, and the monk would be scaling from D6 to D8 to D10 to D12, while the paladin stays on a D6, D8, D10, but starting at first level would have 2d6. It'd be your mana plus 1 die because that's how paladins do. So it all stays within curve, but doesn't break past the amount of damage that these characters are naturally doing using the current 5e rules. But if we drop down here, you gain a free point. So for every attack a fighter skips, you get a free point of mana. So like if we drop down here into the mana lists, we can see what a strike can do. I like Thundering Strike a lot myself personally. So if we were to look at the Thundering Strike as the first rank power, Thundering Strike does as such. Your weapon can deal thunder damage, and you add 1 power die per mana burned. Burning refers to spending a point and it's gone, as opposed to tapping, which is you use a point to sustain an effect. Tapping and burning. There you go. Your weapon can deal thunder damage and add 1 power die per mana burned. A creature up to 1 size larger than you is pushed back directly from you up to 10 feet away for each point of mana burned. So at first level, I'd only be able to shove something 10 feet. Even though a paladin would do 2d6 damage at first level, you'd still only be able to push 10 feet. By 17th level, you could push something up to 50 feet away while dealing an extra 5d10 damage to it on a strike. And all of these things have different things, like blinding. You blind something until they can save their way out of it. Intimidating Strike makes them afraid of you and they won't approach you until they can overcome the effect. Life Stealing, the amount of damage that you deal with your power dice is the amount of temporary hit points you gain every time you make a hit. Provoking Strike causes a goading effect. Restraining Strike puts a restraint on them, so you know they're restrained. The Delusional Strike is like the confusion spell. Stunning Strike is the stun effect. Banishing Strike, Paralyzing Strike, and we could probably create more strikes in the future. But that's a good 24 different types of strikes that people can invest into. That's Juicy Crit. It is Juicy Crit in the making, but it doesn't outcurve the 6d8 worth of damage dice that a paladin would normally get when using a 4th level spell slot. Their bonus die plus, say, elemental, like fighting demons and stuff. It's still within that 50-60 point curve, so it's not really blowing anything out of the water. Yeah, smites already do that. So let's see. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a blank sheet here. We're going to go into the samurai here. We're going to steal the samurai, and we're going to translate the samurai into the martial powers system. And then we're going to select 10. Let me go back here to there. All these classes have 10 bonus powers, and then their features get translated into what the power system affords. So, but again, the empowered strike, starting at 5th level, you get 2 attacks per action, the attack action. So if you hit on the first strike, you can ignore, you can sacrifice the second attack to get a free point of mana. So you could, like, say, use the restraining strike. For a restraining strike costs 2 mana. You get 1 point of mana for free. You then spend a point of your own mana together to get the combined 2 mana needed to use a restraining strike that would deal 2 extra dice of damage in the process. That's how strikes work. Exploits are totally different. Exploits, like a reaction, is you burn a point, however many points of mana it takes while using a reaction that gets triggered by an effect. Like countering attack is a 2 mana effect, which is as a reaction to when an enemy within range of your weapon attack casts a spell, you can make an opportunity attack. If it hits, the caster takes damage and must make a Constitution saving throw against your channeling DC, or half the damage dealt, whichever is greater. If the save fails, the spell is disrupted, as though affected by a counter spell. So counter spell is a 3rd level spell because it's basically point and save. What this does is it's 2 mana because it has to hit, and and then they also have a saving throw. So there's 2 variables in hitting with the reaction and then getting a saving throw as a result of it, as opposed to the counter spell. If they're within reach, you point your finger, they make the save, and that determines whether their effect is countered or not. So it's less expensive, but there's more variables that go into it that could prevent you from succeeding at countering their attack. And it also specifically says within range of your weapon attack. So it says because you can use ranged weapons as well as thrown weapons, and as long as you are within the range of using powers, like for instance, a longbow. Normally, you can't use a bow at all to channel powers when you attack with it, unless you specifically have an ability or a power that allows you to do so. In which case, you'd be able to affect something up to normal range. Rangers have the ability by 9th level to affect things with a ranged weapon up to the extended longer range, and still be able to use powers. But other classes don't have that ability. Mostly you're going to be stuck with melee and thrown weapons to make ranged attacks. So, but you can upcast and spend more to be able to use ranged attacks. At higher levels, that comes in really useful. But at the lower levels, it keeps things fairly in line with that melee sort of feeling that you expect. But you can break it. So that's reactions. There's a ton of effects in here that are considered to be opportunity attacks versus reactions. There's the 2 types. Because there's an ability in here that allows you to convert attack actions into additional opportunity attacks. So if you're using that effect, then all these different things that can trigger opportunity attacks can be used with the reiterative reactions that you can choose into. You end up not having any additional action economy per round. You just get to break it up, kind of like legendary actions can be broken up, assuming that it's opportunity attacks. You still have your single reaction per round. So, like, whatever it is that you do with reaction, but then you have the extra attacks could be used for opportunity attacks specifically. So, hey, what's up? Hey, Al. Good to see you. Let's see. So yeah, that's empowered strikes. You can forgo attacks to get free mana so that you can do strikes as often as you want, as long as you're hitting. You don't have to spend mana until you hit, just like with Divine Smites. There's also Indomitable Power. When you use Indomitable Power to reroll a saving throw, and if you were using power dice to increase the saving throw result, when you use Indomitable Power, then you can reroll the saving throw as well as reroll any number of power dice that you were channeling during the saving throw as well. And then there's the optional class feature of Power Surge at 10th level. At 10th level, when you use the action surge, you gain a number of temporary mana equal to the max channel limit gained as a fighter. that you can use until the end of your turn. So it's basically free mana. Any temporary mana remaining at the end of your turn is lost. So at 17th level, if you pop Action Surge, you'll get a pocket of 5 free mana to use with your actions however you want. So you're cheating in a lot of extra mana, almost infinite mana with the Empowered Strikes feature, because you can just do that over and over and over again and cash out extra attacks as much as you want, unless you want to split up your attacks against multiple opponents, in which case you don't use this feature. But when you're trying to crit down like a boss fight or a single target, it's really useful. You hit, you blow your mana, you get that one attack in, and you get to juice up your attack effect. Other things that we do here includes the exploits. Exploits work similar to strikes but are different. For instance, the Commanding Presence, when making an ability check that can use Intimidate, Performance, or Persuasion skill, roll 1 power die per mana channeled, and only requires 1 mana to use this effect at all, but it could be up to 5 at 17th level. And when you do so, roll 1 power die per mana channeled, adding the highest result to your ability check. So you could roll 5 dice at 17th level to get 5 dice, 10-sided dice, and take the best result. But typically after 2 or 3 dice, you're already getting over the halfway mark. So it becomes a real issue of how much do you really need this die roll? Do you really want to throw 5 mana into a Commanding Presence check? Maybe you do. Maybe you're negotiating with a dragon and you really need to make sure you nail your persuasion check. So you're going to ramp it up, throw 5 mana, get an extra 5 dice at 17th level. That'd be a D10. So you make your persuasion check like normal, add in your charisma modifier, and then add in the best die roll as you can. You're basically gambling that the amount of mana that you spend is going to give you a die roll that's really going to make a difference. So that's essentially how those things work. There's also maneuvers, which are like point and click effects, kind of like they're the closest thing to actual spells that exist inside the game. Like for example, what's a flatten? Choose a creature within 30 feet. It takes 1 power die of damage per mana channeled, and force damage, and if it fails a strength saving throw, it's knocked prone. It can end the prone condition after a successful strength saving throw at the end of each of its turns. So it's pinned flat to the ground until it can succeed at a strength check to get up. The creature could technically be locked down like that all day if it can never pass a saving throw. It will eventually, but it depends on how long, and you don't have to concentrate on that effect. You fired it, the magic just sticks around until you can shake it off. Virtually all of the magic works that way, but these maneuvers can be used either as an action or a bonus action, and you can use the same one twice in the same round. So if you wanted to, you could hit 2 separate creatures with flatten, you and you. Both of you guys get flattened. If you both fail your saving throw, you're stuck to the ground. At the end of your next turn, you can try to get back up again. So they are stuck with the prone condition, for instance. So that's basically how powers work. So we're going to now go to the fighter. We're going to drop down to the samurai. You can, if you're reading along the document that we have, again, linked down here in the Patreon, you can go find it. And all these different classes are already fleshed out. The Banneret, the Arcane Archer, the Battle Master. Battle Master was super fun to do. Cavalier was fun. Champion was cool. Psy Warrior, super fucking cool. The Rune Knight's fucking awesome. We finished that one. It took two sessions for us to finish the Rune Knight last week. And now we're going to build the samurai. So I'm going to, let's just grab this, bulk like that, and this, copy, and then we'll paste. I didn't prep this, I should have. So we're going to waste a few minutes here prepping our screen. Samurai. And you can see here from this list from the Rune Knight, it doesn't matter what level it is. You're just going to get what's appropriate, like what feels right regardless of level. There's actually only, well, level/rank. There's only 4 ranks of power, even though your character can channel up to 5 ranks of mana. So that means that you're going to have access to all of the powers by 13th level. And considering that most Wizard of the Coast content stops by level 15, if not sooner, that's pretty useful. Most people can't get to 19th, like 17th, even 15th level. So it's nice to have most of this stuff get introduced at lower levels so they can start cashing in on things right away. But again, it's going to vary from table to table. I tend to clear through a 20 level campaign every 200 to 250 hours. My current home table is at level 19. We're about to roll over into a new campaign. We're gonna do a Spelljammer campaign after this one. We're in a time travel campaign right now in Eberron. Next, we're going to do an Eberron Spelljammer campaign, mining the Tears of Sybaris for crystalline energy. It's going to be fun. Text. So you're curious, is there a limit to how many of these strikes, exploits, etc. that an individual PC can take? Yes. So you have a number of known powers. You have 2 at first level, and it'll eventually cap at 16. And then on top of that, you get 10 from your bonus power list, and you could spend feats to learn additional powers if you wanted to. You can also use powers to learn extra feats. So you could, instead of learning any powers, you could instead choose to learn 16 feats. And you'll get a stack of powers because of your bonus power list. But if you don't want to mess with that stuff, you can just ignore it and just go with feats. You can also, when you're taking sustained powers, instead of worrying about maintaining concentration on them, you can lock them. So at first level, you have one channel, you have 1 point of mana that you can channel. First rank sustained powers require one mana to sustain with a base concentration check of 11, and that check is going to be against any damage, 11 or half the damage taken, whichever is higher, plus every single saving throw that you make, strength, dex, int, wisdom, every single saving throw you make, you check the result of your saving throw against your concentration check to see if you sustain the power. Otherwise, the sustained power has no duration. It can stay active until you're unconscious or you begin a long rest. Or it gets dispelled. You can be targeted by dispel. But it's up to you. If you want to maintain that spell, it'll stay active for as long. It only costs that 1 point to activate it. But as soon as you let it go by dismissing it, or it gets burned off because of conditions, then that's when you burn the point of mana. So you tap the mana to maintain it, and then once the effect ends, that's when you burn the mana and drop that point into your spent mana pool. You can, however, choose not to maintain concentration, because taking hits means you're going to be making a lot of saving throws. So instead of maintaining concentration on a sustained effect, you can lock it. So at first level, you have access to 1 point of mana. If you decide to lock that 1 point of mana so that your sustained power becomes locked, you no longer have to make concentration checks on it. But since you've locked that one channel of mana and you don't have any extra channels of mana, you can now no longer use mana. So at low levels, what you can do is stack up on a bunch of feats and just learn feats and sustained powers. Activate the power, you lock it, it basically becomes a permanent aura on you, and then since you can't use any more mana anyway, then you can just use all the feats that you gathered up instead, so you can kit out your character with all the feats that you want at low level, and then as you continue accumulating levels, you can start complementing all those feats that you learn with low level and eventually higher ranking powers that cost more mana as you go, and your mana pool gets deeper and you have more resources and more ways to regain those resources. So this is actually, if your default generic easy system is I don't want to fuck around with a resource system, that's too complicated, I just want to be a simple fighter, great. We're going to give you Great Weapon Master, we're going to give you Pam, and we're going to give you Sentinel, and you're not going to worry about mana at all. But you have those 3 extra feats to your character at first level. Here's a pole arm, defend your team. That's an excellent power fantasy for a first tier character to have access to all that shit. And now once you get to 5th level, you have the extra attack that you can make each round. Now's when you want to start thinking about investing in gaining strike powers, because you can make strikes for free by sacrificing your second attack. You might want to pick up Opportunist by level 9, because that is a 2 mana aura that you can lock down, and it can convert all of your attacks into opportunity attacks, so you can make attacks off of your turn. When opponents try to move, you can use Thundering Strike to kick them away from you, or you could use like Goading Strike. So if you can't push them away, they can get disadvantage on everything else other than you to attack. You could use Intimidating Strike. You can do things to keep them at bay. You can flatten them, you can goad them, you could lift them, you could banish them. There's a ton of battlefield control stuff that your character has access to, depending on whether you want to mess with a mana pool or not. So hopefully that answers your question. There's always this question and answer period at the front end of the documents anyway, so it's not like we're not doing anything I don't expect to be doing. So, but yeah, they are really, they're really freaking fun. I like the look of these sustained ones. I like the concept of passive buffs. Yes, that's it. So you have a stack of mana, but you don't really need it. So if your DM hits you with an anti-magic or a dispel magic effect and takes your auras away, then you still have your pocket of mana left over that you can spend to regain them. Also, the fighter, the short rest recharge mechanics, like the fighter, the barbarian, the monk, and the rogue, those guys, they can swap out one power known whenever they take a short rest. So if you've been out adventuring and you're going into town and you're going to do an in-town thing, you can swap out, well, I don't need a strike power right now. Instead, I'm going to like pick up commanding presence or like master artisan, so I can use my feats, so I can use skill checks better. I don't need combat right now. I do want to spend my mana on boosting ability checks when I'm negotiating with people for deals, finding out information, interrogating people, searching. And then once we find what we need to have, we'll take our short rest again, be able to swap out some of the powers that we have so that we have combat stuff again, and then we can go with a refreshed mana pool, dive into whatever danger we want to cause. So that this system is encouraging players to be in a conversation with a DM about pacing short rests into the game, because almost everything in the system is going to be benefiting from having a short rest mechanic available to them that they want to make use of. So the more things you have for more classes to make use of short rest, the more they're going to want to take short rests. Like I was talking about this yesterday with the color mana pools. If you're using the color mana system, you might have blue spells that you would love to use in town, but here out in the field, I need green and white magic for protection and healing. So I'm just going to devote my mana pool to white and green magic right now. But when I take a short rest, I can swap out all my colors. So now that we're going into town, I'm going to pick up a bunch of blue. Yeah, maybe like a bunch of blue and green instead. So I can do a bunch of investigation and exploration stuff instead. But there you go. So diving into this, Samurai is a fighter who draws on the implacable fighting spirit to overcome enemies. A samurai's resolve is nearly unbreakable, and the enemies in a samurai's path have two choices: yield or die fighting. So, features: Samurai, Fighter, 3 level, features equals 3rd level, bonus proficiency, Fighting Spirit, 7th level, Elegant Courtier, 10th level, Tireless Spirit and Fighting Spirit upgrade, 15th level, Rapid Strike and a Fighting Spirit upgrade, and then 18th level is Strength Before Death. So, we'll see if we need to modify any of these things. So, bonus proficiency. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in one of the following skills of your choice: history, insight, performance, or persuasion. Alternatively, you learn one language of your choice. Typically what we do when we run across bonus proficiencies, the way that we do it is this. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you gain the skilled feat. You can choose from the 3 skills you gain, 2 must be chosen from history, insight, performance, or persuasion. Alternatively, you may learn one additional language of your choice. From the 3 skills you gain, 2 must be chosen from or you learn one language of your choice. The last skill, the last option, any skill, tool, or language of your choice. Something like that. The skilled feat gives you 3 things. A bonus proficiency is a pathetic option for any character. Skills are king. Having skills gives the player an opportunity to interact with the player. What's the most favorite thing for a DM to say? Roll me a blank check. Roll me a blank. whatever that is. Players love rolling the dice because it makes them feel like they have empowerment. A big DM trick is always give them something minimal that pushes them towards the goal or whatever the next encounter is that you want, even on a shitty failed die roll. The better their result, the more extra shit you get to give them. So always give them something successful no matter what. So if they are engaging with your game, hey, can I do a search check to try to find, I don't know, some sort of clue as to who did this? It's like, absolutely you can. They roll a 1. Hey, you find this torn shoestring. It looks like it's made out of some sort of animal fur you're unfamiliar with. That is a very random lead that you might get off of a 1. Is it relevant or not? I honestly don't know. But if you rolled a 20, you're like, yeah, it's a weird string that you found. You're not really sure, but you do know that there are merchants in town that you saw at the front gate that came in with long-haired yaks. And this is the same color as that long-haired yak. It might be related to them. Like, that's a good die roll, but a shitty die roll is like, yeah, this weird fur fiber. You're not familiar with what it is. Your player might be thinking, oh yeah, we saw some weird looking shit out at the front gate. They may jump to that conclusion themselves and get on the right path with you. But the higher their die roll is, the more you give them the answers that the initial step, the actual clue, the fail clue. But if they do really well, you give them the conclusion that clue is supposed to give them. And if they do really, really well, you can give them another step beyond that. It's like, hey, this is that camel. There's a weird fiber. It probably has something to do with those long hair yak tradesmen that you saw out at the gate. Come to think of it, you were getting a really weird vibe off of them, and the city guard was not letting them out of sight. They might actually have a bad reputation already as potential thieves. This could just be a nail in the coffin that the guards are looking for to get them out of town or to have an excuse to take their stuff. What do you want to do about that? That's how a DM can lead characters using skill checks to always give them yes and, yes and, yes and, to keep feeding them down the tunnel, which makes skill checks incredibly useful. People are like, you don't need a die roll if someone says a blah-de-blah, but players love throwing dice. DMs love filling time with dice rolls, especially if they're trying to if they're improvising because they're off track and they're trying to find a way to get the characters back onto track. Skill rolls, die rolls, ability checks, all that stuff always leads them back to whatever your next encounters that you want, because they're following the leads that you're giving them. They're asking for die rolls because they aren't confident that they're on the right path. So a system that leans into die rolls, that rewards, I'm going to throw 2 points of mana at this because I want to make sure I can figure out what the hell is going on with that fiber. I found it, but I can't recall. Maybe I can make an intelligence check. Do you have history? No, but I do have a boost ability that if it allows for history, I can roll another point of mana and get a boost on that. Great, do it. Hey, I got a 26. Awesome. Here's a whole bunch of shitload of information, and now you're just beelining to the next combat that you had planned for them anyway, but you just cut out all the chafe. Hopefully that makes sense. Some philosophy that goes on behind the system in the first place. So, let's see. So yeah, we have the bonus feature, so that's good enough. And then let's duplicate this. This will be 7th level. This will be 10th level. This will be 15th level. And this will be 18th level. So let's see what we can find. Fighting Spirit. Starting at 3rd level, your intensity in battle can shield you and help you strike true. As a bonus action on your turn, you can give yourself advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end of the current turn. When you do so, you can give yourself advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end of the current turn. When you do so, you also gain 5 temporary hit points. The number of temporary hit points increases when you reach certain levels in this class, increasing to 10 at 10th, 15 at 15th. You can use this feature 3 times. and regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. So let's fetch Fighting Spirit. Starting at 3rd level, your intensity in battle can shield you and help you strike true. As a bonus action on your turn, you can give yourself advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end. Let's see. As a bonus action on your turn, you can... So you get this a number of times. You can use this feature 3 times and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. 3 times! It's very arbitrary. We're going to do this better. We're going to go with you can spend, you can burn 1 point of mana to give yourself, yes, it now has a mana cost, to give yourself advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end of the current turn. When you do so, you also gain 5 temporary hit points for each rank of power gained as a fighter. 5 at 3rd, 10 at 5th, etc., with 25 at 17th. So it's going to cost you 1 point of mana. It's going to give you a shitload of mana in the end. The way that's currently set, you'll never be able to use it more than 3 times per day. We're going to make you pay for it up front, but you can use it as often as you want. At very high levels, when you have 20 mana, you could do this 20 mana per short rest, and you get you get all your mana back on a short rest. You also can cheat it in with action surge. You can cheat it in with the second wind feature. So you have a lot of ways for you to get a lot of mana, and this only costs 1 mana every time you use it. So you can use it over and over and over again to give yourself, at 17th level, a shitload of temporary mana. But that makes this thing actually very useful, because you can keep refreshing it at the cost of only 1 mana. That is very inexpensive. If you're using action surges and second wind like you ought to between your short rests, that's going to end up potentially being an extra 20 mana that you're going to gain at high levels, which you can basically then have 40 mana per short rest, which is insane. So you can burn through a crap load of mana resources to be able to do all this hype stuff. It's only 1 mana as a bonus action. Starting at 3rd level, your intensity in battle can shield you and help you strike true. As a bonus action on your turn, you can burn 1 point of mana to give yourself advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end of your current turn, which would also count during your turn. You get an extra action if you use action surge, so you'd be able to cheat it in that way as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's pretty good as is. It costs you a little bit more up front, but again, you might not be using if you took all feats at 3rd level, you don't have anything else to burn your mana on, then you can just burn it on Fighting Spirit over and over again and continually having Fighter Spirit refreshes, which is going to mean you'll need to use your second wind feature less often, because you're having temporary hit points taking damage for you. And you're hitting more often, so once you get to 5th level, when you drop this in, that advantage is more likely to hit with your first attack, but you're going to lose your bonus action to get it, so you're going to want to pick up extra attacks, so we'll get into those. So for now, Elegant Courtier. Starting at 7th level, your discipline and attention to detail allow you to excel in social situations. When you make a Charisma Persuasion check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your Wisdom modifier. Your self-control also causes you to gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. If you already have this proficiency, you instead gain proficiency in intelligence or charisma saving throws, your choice. Overall, I'm okay with Elegant Courtier. I think it could be better, so let's make it better. Elegant Courtier. Notice how I'm using language about number of ranks gained as a fighter. Just to revisit the table here real quick, a 3rd level fighter that takes this archetype has access to first rank and then access to second rank at fifth. But you can multi-class freely between classes. Like if you went 10 levels of fighter and 10 levels of rogue as a 20th level character, you would still have 5 ranks of power that you accumulated between the multi-classing, because they accumulate 1-to-1 like spellcasting does for casters. But as a rogue and as a fighter of 10th level, you would be capped at 3rd rank of power as either a rogue or a fighter. So you wouldn't be able to, like the fighting spirit as a 10-10 fighter, rogue, samurai, I don't know, samurai ninja or whatever you're going to do. Then you would, whenever you use fighting spirit, it would cap at only 15 temporary mana. Even though you're a 20th level character, you only gain 3 ranks of power as a fighter. So it caps it there. Kind of like until, God willing, Wizards is going to change Paladin so that its aura of protection is only like advantage on saving throws. But if it doesn't, then our fix to that is to have the aura of a Paladin grants a bonus to saving throws equal to the maximum rank of power gained as a Paladin. So if a Paladin dips after 7th into another class, at best you're going to give +2 bonuses to people's saving throws, and that's it. So if you get to 20th level, like if you're like, say, 13 Warlock, 7 Paladin, again, your saving throws, you're only going to give a +2 bonus in your aura for doing so. So by sculpting the language around capping with the maximum rank of power gained as a character class, you're encouraging them to stay in the same single class. But if they multi-class, they can gain a lot more lower level toys, just not access to like the really big hype things that they could do with their character otherwise. So Elegant Courtier. Let's go into the Courtier. Starting at 7th level, your discipline and attention to detail allow you to excel in social situations. When you make a charisma persuasion check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier. Honestly, I'm okay with that, but I also want to grant, I definitely want to make sure by 7th level, I definitely want to make sure that they have commanding presence, because that, wait a second, this is, yeah, persuasion checks. So whenever you can make a intimidate, performance, or persuasion skill, you can add a power die. So commanding presence should absolutely be on here. You're by 7th level is when you gain that, so gaining commanding presence at 5th level makes sense. There. This is usually how we figure out which powers you're going to get for free, because you can pick any of these 140 some odd abilities. And whenever you gain a level, you can swap out all your powers. Whenever like a fighter takes a short rest, you can switch one of them. When a fighter takes a long rest, you can switch out all of his powers. Fighters are prep channelers. Yeah. So the hybrids aren't. The hybrids they can swap out when they prep stuff too, but they can only prep on a long rest. The martial characters, the fighter, whatever that was, fighter, monk, barbarian, and rogue. Those 4 classes, they're martial channelers, so they can re-switch all their abilities on a long rest, and whenever they take a short rest, they can swap one ability, or one power is the word we're trying to use here. Power. So let's see, that's Elegant Courtier. I'm honestly, yeah, I'm good. The wisdom modifier is equal to your channeling modifier. A fighter can use strength, dexterity, or intelligence as your channeling stat. So this is just changing the language so that you can add your channeling modifier to your charisma persuasion checks. There you go. Your self-control also grants you wisdom saving throw. If you already have it, then you can get intelligence or charisma bonus. There you go. I'm pretty happy with that as is. Minimal changes, but necessary. Tireless Spirit. Starting at 10th level, when you roll initiative and have no uses of fighting spirit remaining, you regain 1 use. That's garbage. That is a shit 10th level feature. It is a non-feature, and we completely nullified it by giving it a mana cost. So Tireless Spirit just became an empty class level that we get to find something new to fill it with. So for now, we're going to leave it blank. And instead, let's skip down to 15. Rapid Strikes. Starting at 15th level, you learn to trade accuracy for swift strikes. If you take the attack action on your turn and have advantage on an attack roll against one of the targets, you can forgo the advantage for that roll to make an additional weapon attack against that target as part of the same action. You can do so no more than once per turn. So you gain advantage on attacks automatically by spending a point of mana as a bonus action. You can then use your attack action to make multiple strikes, so you're all at advantage. So, if you hit with your first attack, you're getting an extra attack that round, aren't you? That means you get an extra point of mana, don't you? So at 15th level, you're going to have 2 extra attacks. You have your first attack, you have your bonus from 5th, you have a bonus at 11th. If you tap into this feature, you're going to have a 4th attack that round. So if you hit with the first attack, you're going to get a bonus 3 mana that you can spend on a strike. Rapid Strikes is fucking incredible using this. So we're going to keep it, and we're just going to add that caveat language so that people can recognize off the cuff just how fucking badass that is. So Rapid Strikes. Love it. So at 15th level, you learn to trade accuracy for strikes. If you you learn to trade accuracy for swift strikes. If you take the attack action on your turn and have advantage on an attack roll against one of the targets, you can forgo the advantage for that roll to make an additional weapon attack against that target. If you take the attack action on your turn and have advantage on an attack roll against one target, you can forgo the advantage for that roll to either make an additional weapon attack against that target, or gain an additional point of temporary mana hold on. Okay. On an attack roll, one of the targets, you can forgo the advantage for that attack for that roll to either make an additional how am I going to do this? You forgo the advantage to get 2 attacks. Gain an additional attack as part of the same action that can be which can be sacrificed to gain an additional point of temporary point of mana, an additional temporary point of mana using the Empowered Strikes, I think is what it's called. Let's see. You can forgo the advantage for. You can forgo the advantage to gain an additional attack as part of the same action, which can be sacrificed to gain an additional temporary point of mana using the Empowered Drain and attack action. I think it's... is it called empowered attacks? I forgot already. Hold on. Empowered strikes. Thank you. There. So if you have advantages on an attack, you can get an extra attack, or you can cash in that attack to gain an additional free point of mana at 10th level. No, that's at 15th level. So you got 1, 2, 3, potentially four attacks, which you could potentially cash in for 3 mana. Not bad. Let's see. Is that all we need for this one? Oh yeah. Yeah, we did. Okay, and then we have Strength Before Death. Let's take a look at what this is supposed to be. Strength Before Death. Starting at 18th level, your fighting spirit can delay the grasp of death. If you take damage that reduces you to 0 hit points and doesn't kill you outright, you can use your reaction to delay falling unconscious, and you can immediately take an extra turn, interrupting the current turn. While you have 0 hit points during that extra turn, taking damage causes death saving throws, failures as normal, and 3 death saving throw failures can still kill you. When the extra turn ends, you fall unconscious if you still have 0 hit points. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish. Let's fetch this. Till you finish a long rest, or spend 5 mana to regain. There. Delay the grasp of death. If you take damage that reduces you to 0 hit points and doesn't kill you outright, you can use your reaction to delay falling unconscious, and you can immediately take an extra turn, interrupting the current turn. While you have 0 hit points during that extra turn, taking damage causes death saving throw failure as normal, and 3 death saving throw failures can still kill you. When the extra turn ends, you fall unconscious if you still have 0 hit points. Nice. Okay, so the only thing that's fine as is. So we made that modification so you can spend 5 mana to regain it, which means you could get it over and over again, and that's fine because it's expensive to do it, and you're level 18, so let them have nice toys. The only thing we don't have here is a replacement for a 10th level class feature, which is Tireless Spirit. Starting at 10th level, when you roll initiative and you have no uses of Fighting Spirit remaining, you regain 1 use. That is a big fat non-bow. So let's see, what can we replace Tireless Spirit with that would be super cool? Okay, so Strength Before Death is enhancing fighting spirit to the point where even if you're dead, you're still fighting. The basics of fighting spirit is advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end of your turn. When you do so, you also gain 5 temporary hit points. You gain advantage on all attacks until the end of your turn. Here we go. Here's what we're going to do. What's it called? What do we want to call this? Okay, so let's create the ability and then we'll make the name. starting at 10th level. You can channel fighting spirit as an exploit when you take the attack action instead of using a bonus action, period. Exploits happen during the action, so what we're doing here is we're removing the requirement of using a bonus action to trigger fighting spirit. Instead, it's whenever you take the whenever you make the attack action, you just spend a point of mana and it automatically triggers as part of the action economy. And then it upgrades again with strength before death. So that feels good. But what do we want to call this? Here it's called Tireless Spirit. How about Spirit in Action? There. Probably have to start putting in these tags. Variant replaces the class feature it's supposed to have. Variant. Variant. Since we're keeping the name, but we're changing it, it becomes variant. If we're swapping it out altogether, it says replaces the whatever features we're replacing, we give it a new name. That's super fucking dope. I am very happy with that. Now, we get to go into our list of powers, all 150 of them, and pick out the ones that we think are going to best represent narratively what the samurai is. There's a lot of really kick-ass shit in here that people are going to be more than happy to spend one of their known powers to pick up because they're good. But so we want to go after the things that are most appropriate for the class at the level that it's at. What powers has it gained, or what is it about to gain that a power on this list can complement or lean into without becoming redundant? So let's start at the back and work our way forward, shall we? I can officially get rid of this document here. Audi 5. How are we looking on time? We're at the 58-minute mark. Wow, we're doing really good today. Let's see. Are there any other architecture classes that need the revisions to the system? We've finished all of Barbarian. We're finishing Fighter today. We've finished Rogue. We've gone through Ranger. I think we're okay with Paladin. We've modified infusions for Artificer. We've modified invocations for Warlocks. Warlocks and Artificers can learn powers, but Artificers can only learn them as infusions by infusing a piece of equipment with a piece of power. And Warlocks can only learn one power per invocation spent, and both of them gain them at half-casting progression. So a 13th level Warlock could pick up a fourth rank power as an invocation. And if you use my spell point Warlock system that's in the color mana system down below, it uses the same progression. Pact Magic uses the same progression as a monk, so it has 20 mana over the course of 20 levels. But it also has Mystic Arcanum, so it has Arcanum mana, which goes up to, I believe it goes up to 30. It goes up to 30. Let me double check that real quick. Hold on. DMsGuild. But I believe I want to go over Monk one more time. Let's go with Spell Point Warlocks. There you go. Spell Point Warlocks. This is nearly gold, by the way. It has a 50% purchase rate. There's been 900 downloads total, and 450 of them have been paid to date. And we're 51 away from being gold title as a pay what you want. I'm actually very proud of that. But like everything else, you can click on the full preview and read the entire document for free. So let's go down here and look at the Universal Spell Points and High Magic System. Oh, yep, they gain 40 at 20th. There you go. And if you aren't using the 10th level optional mechanics, then they cap at 30 at 17th. But if you take up if you're using 10th level spell slots, as per the Universal Spell Points and High Magic System that I have here, then you'll end up with 40. So you'll cap with 60. The 20 is refreshed on a short rest, and the Arcanum is regained on a long rest. Arcanum can be spent on Pact Magic and Invocations, but only Mystic Arcanum points can be spent on Mystic Arcanum. So, pretty straightforward. If you're using color mana, you can pick one color for your Pact Magic. You can pick one color for Mystic Arcanum, and the Mystic Arcanum can use... Sorry, you can pick two colors. Mystic Arcanum can use both of those colors. And, sorry, reverse that. Let's actually go down and look at the rules. Color mana. Let's see, spell points. Determine Pact spell points and Arcanum points using the USP system above. You pick two colors from white, blue, black, red, and green. Devote your Pact spell points to one color and your Arcanum points to the other. Pact magic spells and invocations you learn are devoted to both chosen colors. Mystic Arcanum spells that you learn are devoted to the same color as in Mystic Arcanum points. Yeah, so you can use Pact Magic with your Arcanum points. You can use Invocations with Pact Magic and Arcanum points, but only Arcanum points can be used for Arcanum Magic. So if you cash out your mana, you're going to lose access to your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th level spell slots, but you're exchanging them for more magic at the lower end. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Pretty straightforward. So essentially, they're all. What I do need to do is go back through monks and give them a bonus power list, but all the other classes are essentially done. I want to double. I'm going to double check Paladin real quick to make sure I actually have that aura language already installed into it. It should already be there, but I'll check it at the end of this. So right now we're building in powers. So let's start at the high end with 4th rank powers and work our way forward to see if there's anything. What are good powers that this guy can have? Let's start with our sustained powers. Both Frenzy Attack and Indestructible are super useful. Indestructible, when sustaining this power, you gain resistance to all damage and attack. Well, you know what? Honestly, that's not specifically... I was thinking of something else. What was I thinking of? I think I was thinking about a reaction. Let's go down and look at it. Strikes. Rider Revival. As a reaction to when you drop to 0 hit points but don't die, you remain conscious and roll a number of power dice equal to the mana burned, gaining that many hit points instead up to your maximum hit point total. That is in direct conflict with... what is it? The death throws or whatever it's called. Strength before death. This also requires a reaction. If you take damage that reduces you to 0 hit points and doesn't kill you outright, you can use your reaction to delay falling unconscious. So you could use Strength before death, but you could also potentially just take Rider Revival just to give yourself hit points instead of dying. It'll cost you 4 mana to do it. Good for you. That feels... Those are directly conflicting with each other, so that's not a good choice for me to add to the kit of the Samurai. You can choose that yourself, starting at 13th level if you want, but you would be doing that instead of Strength before Death. So it's directly blocking your ability to use a class feature that you're picking up from Samurai. So one of our rules is don't pick up things that keep you from doing other things. You can pick up things that let you do more of what you're doing, like the giant growth power being used for the Rune Knights or for the Path of the Giant Barbarian. Those make sense that they would have access to giant growth, and they get to cheat into it as part of their features. But this is a direct contradiction, so we're going to ignore that. Let's go back to our sustained powers and see if there's anything that just screams samurai for us. And there might not be anything that does. A lot of times we end up at first and second rank just because the other higher level stuff doesn't specifically scream at us that it's appropriate for the class. Let's see. Frenzied attack. While sustaining this power, you gain 1 additional attack when you take the attack action and you gain advantage on all attack rolls. This is a sustained effect. It's always on. And if you were always on with frenzied attacks, that means you always... Well, let's see. If you have advantage... Let's double check that. If you take damage... No, rapid strike. If you take the attack action on your turn and have advantage on an attack roll, you can forgo the... Okay, yeah, so rapid strike would work with frenzied attacks. And they come in at the same level. Holy crap. That's actually really good. So I feel like we should add frenzied attacks, because that just complements, that really leans into what the samurai does. So frenzied, we'll make it at 17th. Frenzied attacks. Sus 4. It's expensive, but you can pick it up. You can also buy it down. If you take the... I mean, you can learn it sooner. You can learn it at 13th level on your own if you want to, but you'll get it for free by 17th. So that's just going to free up a slot for you. Speaking of which, picking up that slot, we have meta power feats, efficient power. There you are. And efficient power requires 5th level plus knowing a second, that's change, sorry, efficient power. There you go, 5th plus channeling class feature. Choose a power you have learned of 2nd rank or higher, including frenzied attack. Reduce the rank and amount of mana to channel the power by 1. This doesn't modify any character costs. If you later swap this power for another, you must also swap efficient power for another power. You can take this feat more than once, reducing the cost of a different 2nd rank or higher martial power. With each efficient power you choose, limit 1 per power. So if we take efficient power with this, the efficient power, the frenzied attack becomes a 3 mana effect. So when we activate it, and if we decide to lock it, it'll only tie up 3 ranks. That means it'll leave 2 ranks open for us to use 1st and 2nd rank powers with up to 2 mana a pop, right? Because you can lock this down, and if you lock it, that means that rapid strike is always active, which means that you get the extra attack from frenzied attack and you get the extra attack from rapid strike. So you're getting 2 extra attacks if you're willing to forego advantage on one of them. And then you can, assuming that you hit with the first one, that's going to give you your 5th rank, your 11th rank, your frenzied attack, your 5th level extra attack, your 11th level extra attack, your frenzied attack from the power, and rapid strike. That's going to give you 4, and then when you hit 20, you're going to have a total of 5 attacks that you can throw away to get 5 free mana off of the first attack that you hit with. So using this, by locking this down, unfortunately, if you lock this down, you only get 2 ranks of power that you can use those temporary mana for. So your temporary mana gets blocked. So you don't ever need to channel more than 2 mana at a time. But you would have potential 6 attacks per round that way. Your 1st, your 5th, your 11th, your 20th, your rapid strike, and your frenzied attack. So you have a total of 6 attacks. And if you lock up 3 of your channels with the frenzied attack by buying it down with efficient power, then you can make 1 attack, cash in 2 attacks to get 2 bonus points of mana for free, and then use your 4th attack to attack again, and then use your 5th or 6th attack to cash those in to also get 2 free points of mana. So each round at 20th level, you can make 2 attacks that get 2 free points of power that would allow you to, like, say, do a goading and tripping strike, for instance. You knock them down, and when they get back up, they have to attack you or be at disadvantage attacking everyone else, for instance. Or you could take like a delusional strike and confuse them until they can make a wisdom saving throw to get out of it. And buy that down, so it only costs 2 mana to use that strike power. Because you can use efficient power on every single power that you know, as long as you're only dropping down the cost by 1. Which means that you would be able to use any 3rd ranked powers. You can purchase efficient power for, like, stunning strike, for instance, stun strike. Your damage deals 1 power die per mana burn, and you could burn it. You could bite it down to 2nd, so it'd be 2 power dice of extra damage. And the creature must make a Constitution saving throw or be stunned. The creature can attempt to end this effect at the end of each of its turns by succeeding a Constitution saving throw. There you go. So yeah, like, that's a way that you can milk these mechanics together to build a more efficient build. But at 20th level, you're still only getting basically 2 free strikes per round if you're hitting every time. But you're getting advantage on those attacks, so you should. So rapid strike makes perfect sense. Frenzied attacks makes perfect sense for us to add in at 17th level, because it's kind of like a capstone within a capstone. You get the rapid strike at 15th, then you get the frenzied at 17th, and then you get your 3rd iterative attack, or you get your 3rd extra attack at 20th. So every couple levels, you're still escalating your character's ability to grow. You have a good reason to take a samurai to 20th level with this, because you're going to get shitloads of attacks that you can cash in. If you wanted to, you could pick up Opportunist, and you could cash in all of your Opportunist while this power is sustained. When you make an attack action, you can forgo any number of attacks during your turn to gain an equal number of additional opportunity attacks, limited to 1 per turn, including your own, that can be used before your next turn. So you could have 6 attacks using this, and you could cash in all 6 of those to get 6 opportunity attacks. So anyone that tries to come near your team, you can just bat away with Thundering Strike. Just toss them away. As long as you're willing to eat through mana to do it, you can just keep hurling enemies away from you and knocking them down. Super fucking cool. Super fucking cool. Or goad them, or make them scared of you, or banish them, or whatever it is that you're going to end up doing to them. That's super cool. But it's so cool. There's like nothing about the samurai that builds into opportunity attacks. So the Opportunist is not like a key feature that I would automatically give your character. Almost everyone, once they get to 15th level, is going to probably want to take Opportunist with the Samurai simply because of the action economy that's there. It's a real easy, low-hanging piece of fruit, but you don't get access to it. You get access to it as early as 5th level, and it keeps that character, honestly, it keeps that player more involved, because at any time they can throw opportunity attacks if it comes up. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see what else is going on inside here that's super cool. Flurry attack. While sustaining this power, you can use a bonus action, including the bonus action used to sustain flurry, to make 2 weapon attacks. How about that? It's not part of your normal attack action, so it can't be used to cash in to gain bonus mana, like you can with your main attack action. But it is extra attacks, which kind of does lean into the samurai. Daunting Presence also, I think, leans into the older, like the 3rd edition version of Samurai had a fear aura that would keep lesser creatures away. So the Daunting Presence, while sustaining its power, attack rolls against you are made with disadvantage. And when you are the only target of an effect that requires you to make a saving throw, you roll with advantage. It's actually pretty good. Flurry attack, celerity is good. Celerity is just ridiculously good. This is basically haste without the stun effect. But you can only target yourself with it. But you do, as a bonus action, you can make a weapon attack. You can use your bonus action to make a weapon attack, or take the dash, dodge, and disengage action. I feel like flurry attack leans into the rapid strike stuff, so I think I want to give him flurry. sus 3. That's a sustained effect. So again, that ties up channels. If you don't want to lock it, you can still, like, if you don't want to lock frenzied attack, then you can still channel 5 mana smites. It's just that if frenzied attack is it requires 4 mana for you to tap, then every single saving throw you're going to make is going to have a minimum of 14 results, or you're going to lose that frenzied attack. And it comes up a lot. Like, if intelligence is your dump stat, you got like a -1 to it and you're not proficient with it, you're basically rolling a d20 with a -1. You have to roll at least a 15 to keep frenzied attack up when you make that kind of a saving throw. And the advice that we give in the DM section is, when you're designing encounters, keep rotating through different saving throws. Have one physical saving throw and one one physical, one mental saving throw, like intelligence, wisdom, charisma. Rotate and then rotate between those, so that you're not, like, if you have like a specific type of creature, you can theme that creature around, like, maybe when you're around that creature, there's strength saving throws. When you're around this creature, there's intelligence saving throws. But then you want to either have like one of those creatures missing, or have another creature with those two introduced, that maybe it requires a constitution saving throw or an intelligence saving throw. So you're constantly throwing different types of saving throws at your team. So one character will have a really easy time with these saving throws and be able to retain their magics, while another character is going to get completely hosed each time. They're going to have to make a hard choice between locking their powers to protect their auras, or just accept they're going to have to lose that mana and go without it. Full casters can't lock mana at all. So they're constantly under threat of losing concentration of stuff. So they don't want to get targeted by anything. But like a wizard that's like concentrating like on weird, for instance, a 9th level spell with multiple phantasmal killers running around, all I gotta do is hit you with with a ray of frost, a cantrip that forces a dexterity saving throw. And if dexterity is, you only have like a 14 in your dexterity because you're a 20th level wizard, then you basically got a +2 on your die roll. You have to roll a 17 or better on that d20, or you're about to lose your 9th level spell. So that's one of the big balancing factors that we use with a mana pool, and allowing for open-ended durations on concentration effects. That's a big balancing factor that has worked great at my table for the past 4 years. So try it yourselves. It's in all my books. So you can check that stuff out if you want. Let's see. We got 3 down, 7 to go. So let's see what else is here at the top end that we think is cool. Sturdy. Strange metabolism, not so much. Quick. Advantage on charisma and dexterity checks. Not particularly. Giant growth, not particularly. Deadly presence. There isn't anything in 5th edition about mobility involving samurai. Cloud Strider. Fly. Close quarter combat. Not so much. Astute. Intelligence and wisdom checks. Not particularly. Saving grace. While sustaining this power, you have advantage on saving throws with one ability of your choice. You can channel this power more than once simultaneously, choosing a different ability score with each channeling. And what is that? Is it second rank or is it first? That's first. So for 5 mana, you can gain advantage on all saving throws. I love that. And you can't buy it down because there's separate instances. The minimum cost is 1. So that's just, oh, got it. It takes 6, so you can't get them all. That's right, because there's 6 saving throws, not 5. Derp. Let's see. What else is cool inside of here? There might not be any other sustained effects we don't even want to bother with for them. I mean, all of this stuff is cool shit that you might want to pick up, but is any of it specifically samurai? I'm feeling no. Let's see. What about strike powers? Is there anything specifically in here that feels particularly samurai? Paralyzing, no. Banishing, no. Stunning strike, not specifically. Delusional strike, not really. Restraining strike, not specifically. Provoking strike, there isn't a big, there isn't a really big tank aesthetic that's being read into the samurai. So I'm not feeling the provoking or the intent. I'm just not feeling any of these specifically being samurai. If anybody that's out there in the audience has any suggestions that you see while you're kicking through the book with me here, you're welcome to shout it out, because I'm open to suggestions. But so far, I'm not seeing any of these, like, any of these strikes are useful. And you'll probably end up wanting to purchase a number of them. But none of them specifically scream out to us that this is samurai. Hexproof, when you see a target with a spell or magical effect, the creature must succeed a charisma saving throw at disadvantage, or you are unaffected and the spell or effect is wasted. I love that. As a reaction. Defensive barrier. No. Fickle fate. No. Redirect. No. One zone luck. As a reaction to rolling one or more power dice, you can re-roll any number of dice and take the higher results. Moving target. None of these are screaming at me. Samurai. Punish. As a reaction to an enemy you can see within range of your weapon attack misses. An attack roll against you or an ally. You can make an opportunity attack, adding one power die to the attack roll. No, not specifically. Feint. As a reaction to when you miss an attack, you can roll again, potentially turning the miss into a hit for 1 mana. Double strike, that kind of feels right. Make 2 weapon attacks with advantage. You can draw a weapon as part of each attack. I love that. Double strike is pretty on flavor. Make 2 weapon, and this is a maneuver, so you can use this as either an action or a bonus action. Let's go. Oof, man, we might just want to add this in just because. Let's see, double strike. Double strike's a strong contender. Where was it? Where'd you go, buddy? It's an exploit. No, it's maneuver. Maneuver 3. Let's see how that curves in with flurry attack and frenzied attack. So flurried attack is a sustained power. Let's see if these things are complementary or if I'm shooting myself here. Sustained. While sustained is power, you can use a bonus action, including the bonus action, to make 2 weapons attacks. Okay, so flurry attack overrides double strike, which means actually I think we should make double strike only 2 mana instead of 3. I think it's too expensive. Yeah, let's drop double strike down to 2. Oh boy, it looks like a lot of people have it. Two. Fix these things. 2. 2. 2. Do we want to have the redundancy there of double strike twice? Make 2 weapon attacks with advantage. You can draw a weapon as part of each attack. I'm good with that being a 2 mana because it's a maneuver. You only use it once. I'm good with that. And it's a maneuver, oh, but it's so redundant with flurry attack. Like, once you have double strike as a maneuver, you don't really need it as a sustained effect at all. So I think I'm going to actually drop it. It makes sense that it would be there. I want to push flurry. It's frenzied attack. What's something else? Make an attack with a weapon you're holding. You can draw a weapon as part of the attack. Make the attack with unstoppable. When you're affecting a condition other than incapacitated or death reduces your movement to 0, you can ignore the movement penalty for 1 round. During your turn, that's a reaction. No, it's an exploit. Okay, let's use that. That curves in. Unstoppable. Why do I have frenzied attack twice now? Flurry, that was a sustained power, wasn't it? Flurry. Let's go back and make sure I got my shit straight. Flurry attack. There it is. Flurry of attacks. That'll help prevent it from being too redundant. Flurry of attacks. There. 1, 2, 3. So we still need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I might end up dipping into some fear effects just because where else am I gonna go? We're already in the exploits, right? Well, let's go back to reactions real quick to see if there's something there. As a reaction to failing a charisma or wisdom saving throw, reroll the d20. That kind of goes with gaining the proficiency bonus. Elegant Courtier at 9th. Iron Will is only a first rank power. As a reaction to when another creature you can see damages you with a melee attack, you can roll 1 power die per mana burned, reducing the damage by the combined result. I'm tempted just to give him parry for the fun of it. Empowered defense as a reaction to when you are hit by an attack from a source you can see. Roll a number of power dice equal to the mana burned. You gain a bonus to AC equal to the highest die result, potentially turning the hit into a miss. God, there's a lot of cool shit in here, but none of this is screaming, I am our samurai. Lift, shunt, regeneration, pack tactics, phase, Theurgy, double strike, make 2 weapon attacks, advantage, distract, cursed brand, saving throw against your powers at disadvantage. The effect ends when the creature succeeds a saving throw against them. Vanish, you become invisible, no. Stabilize creatures, restraining hold, rally, healing radiance, goad, flatten, curse, coordinated dash, coordinated attack, brand of axiom, bonus attack, beguiling strike. When you make an opportunity attack, you can attack the same creature twice. Hypertunistic's a really good one. Let's go with that. First strike, when you roll initiative, if an enemy is within range of your weapon attack, make an attack roll against the enemy instead. The result of the roll is your initiative count, in addition to dealing any damage if the attack succeeds. First strike, for fucking sure. God, first strike is good. Oof, this guy's getting loaded heavy. Bursting damage, not so much. Precise attack, phase attack, empowered synergy. When you use a bonus action to channel a maneuver, you can make a weapon attack as part of the bonus action. This attack can be made at the beginning, end, or during the empowered maneuver. It's expensive. Like, you can use empowered synergy. You can use empowered, check this out. You can use empowered synergy with double strike. So you spend 2 points on double strike as a maneuver to make 2 weapon attacks as a bonus action. And then if you're willing to spend an extra 2 points as an exploit, empowered synergy, you can make a 3rd attack with your bonus action. That's just, I personally love that. It's expensive, but I fucking love that. God, that does make me want to take double strike. Double. Because you might not want to have flurry of attacks on, but you might still want double strike. Like, you might not be able to. You might already have more powers locked down. Like if you have frenzied attack active, you can't also have flurry of attacks active unless you buy down both frenzied attack and flurry attack with efficient power. And if you do that, it becomes redundant with double strike. But if you lock, say, unstoppable or frenzied attack, well, if you lock frenzied attack, then you wouldn't be able to use flurry of attacks at all. You would have to use you could use double strike, and you'd have the mana to do it. So then you could use empowered strike to make 3. That's just fun. That is just fun. Okay, cool. So now we are suddenly down to 3rd rank, and at 3rd rank, I like. Well, let's go through real quick to see if there's any low level stuffs in here that we think are particularly appropriate. Like commanding presence, we already have that. So generally at 3rd level, what I like to do is pick up extra feats because they don't cost any mana to have them. And sustained powers is generally what I like to do, because you can lock the sustained power and then just use feats, right? So, and then we'll be done for the day. So sustained power. While sustaining this power, weapon attacks are magic, and you can add your proficiency bonus to your weapon attack rolls. Sorry, your weapon damage rolls. That's not bad. Dire impact. Sus 1. Come on. And let's go look at our feats real quick. Any particularly cool feats? Mind, mobile, tavern brawler. Let's look at the mobile feat again. Let's find a reliable source. Nope, of course, this is a forum. How about this? Nope, more forums. D&D Beyond is the worst. Fine, back to the top. Mobile feat. Mobile feat. Isn't it mobile or is it mobility? Or am I fucking crazy? Have I gone crazy again? Just mobile. I get it. It's just mobile. There. Mobile. Feet. Jeez, my fucking... D&D Beyond, man. Speed increases by 10 feet when you use the dash action. Difficult terrain doesn't cost you extra movement on that turn. When you make a melee attack against a creature, you don't provoke attack of opportunity from that creature for the rest of the turn, whether you hit or not. When you make a melee attack against a creature. Whew, man, that's good. All right, we're going to give him mobile. There, we're done. That's the samurai, and that's the fighter. So all the fighter shit is now officially done. Congrats to us. Let's go down into the paladin real quick to make sure it is where it's supposed to be. Christians of power. We have to find there. Channeling, mana, spellcasting with divine power, improved divine power, oaths of power. Channel divinity, gain 2 options with oath. Once used once, regain the feature when you finish a short or long rest, or burn 2 mana as a bonus action to do so. Harness divine power. You can spend a use of channel divinity as a bonus action to gain 2 mana instead. Cleansing touch, charisma bonus for long. Oath. Nope, we're pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out today. We're going to do monks next week, maybe this Friday. But that's it for now, guys. So I will see you on the other side. Thanks a lot.